An all-new episode of The Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Our next guest is a good friend of the show, back for the second time. Really excited to be talking to Rick Allen from Def Leppard, of course, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. Currently on tour. The final tour dates of the stadium tour alongside Motley Crüe. They're down south down south. I mean, more like down under at this point. It's kind of far.
All right, mate.
Right? We're going to be talking about this incredible auction that he's got going on with the Raven Drum Foundation, benefiting our veterans and first responders, and of course Veterans Day this Saturday. Thank you to everybody for their service. Welcome to the show, and welcome back, Rick Allen from Def Leppard.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Nice introduction.
Well, listen, you're one of our favorite drummers of all time on the show, and nothing but respect for you. So anytime Rick Allen calls, we're like, we got to be there.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, it's important. You know, we've got this this ongoing auction, and this will be our third year. So we're really excited, and unfortunately, it ends soon. You know, we always feel like this is something that should be ongoing. It should be something that goes throughout the year. For all of us. People put themselves in danger all the time. Our veterans put themselves in danger all the time. You know, when we're having our worst day, first responders show up. And I've experienced that firsthand myself. So it's the least I can do.
Yeah, especially especially with what happened to you this year. I mean, like, that's some pretty fucked up shit. What went down like in Florida stuff. Like, at least you had the cops and you had the ambulance there to take care of you and shit. But it's pretty. How are you doing after that whole ordeal? By the way, it's pretty fucked,
strange.
Right? We can say it's pretty fucked.
Is. Yeah, when I hear footsteps behind me, I use shop windows like a rear view mirror these days, just to check out who's behind me. And so there is stuff. It did bring stuff up. But I'm trying to work through it the best I can, and I'm just looking forward to being home and continuing to work through it.
Yeah. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's kind of like PTSD, right? You're going to be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. And on top of it, you're benefiting veterans and first responders. I mean, the stuff that they have to deal with and the stuff that they've seen over the years, I can only imagine,
Well, me too. And I think that's one of the reasons, all these things that happen to every one of us, I just think it's a reminder of what our brave men and women go through on a daily basis. I mean, for us, it's pretty random. For them, it's a conscious decision, to put themselves in danger. So fair play,
Yeah. So Raven Drum Foundation, you got some incredible items this time around from legends. I mean, like Gina Shock from the Go-Go's. Tommy Lee's donated some great stuff. Signed drum heads. Nikki Sixx donated a whole bass, which is pretty amazing. Taylor Swift even donating a guitar. I mean, was it difficult to get these people to get involved with the foundation, or were they like, yes, absolutely, count me in?
No hesitation, because they see the value. They see how this really, really does help. And the list just goes on. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. I was just telling you, I was just about to post on social media and just tell people how blessed I feel, having the support of all these incredible people. I mean, it's amazing, really. I mean, you mentioned a few of them. Taylor Swift, Stuart Copeland, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Matt Sorum, Sheryl Crow, Todd Tushman, John Bon Jovi, Zach Hansen, my wife Lauren Monroe, Fred Armisen, Steve Gadd, Rick Springfield, Jules Rodino, Neil Peart, Alvin Taylor, Buddy Rich, James Gadsden, Peter Criss, Barry Gibb, Denny Sewell, Dwayne Trucks, Gina Shock, May Pang, John Lum, Devin Allman, and Donovan Frankenreiter. I mean, and there's more. I mean, people just keep jumping on board, as we're really coming to a close. It's pretty amazing, and a very impressive list of people that we managed to get on board.
And I was going to say, it's a pretty eclectic mix too. I mean, you go from, Tommy Lee to Taylor Swift. It's like you got rock, you got country, you got pop from Sheryl Crow. Like everybody's kind of in there. It's really cool to see. It's not just, a bunch of rock stars doing some stuff. It crosses genres. It's like a crossover thing, which is amazing.
Well, as a musician, I don't really see genres. We all use the same chords. We just, some are slightly more distorted than others, but, generally, as a musician, I love all music. I think it was quite by accident that I got into rock music. I think rock music kind of chose me because, when I first started, I was listening to like Glenn Miller. You know what I mean? So who knows? Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So the auctions ends on November 11th, which is just in time for Veterans Day, of course. You can go to all your socials and everything's up there. You want to go check it out. But there's a lot of amazing stuff on here. And quite frankly, like the money's going to be going to such a great cause as well. So, why not get involved with this, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And then today, I just got word. Let me just have a look. The signed guitars from Nikki Sixx, Sheryl Crow, Styx, and John Bon Jovi, Rick Springfield, Taylor Swift. And Zach is amazing. A personal song written and produced and recorded by him, which, for the recipient. And then Nikki said he'll send a personal note to anyone who buys the stage-worn scarf and book package. And then Rick Springfield just came on board as well. Rick Springfield's guitar also comes with a VIP meet and greet. And then we've got Liberty DeVito that used to play with Billy Joel. Yeah. And he donated a gold record that was actually given to him by Billy Joel. And then the other one that's really important is Musicians on Call donated a custom hand-drawn Dave Matthews guitar. And 100% of those proceeds will enable Raven Drum to support Musicians on Call's bedside music program for VA hospitals around the country. That's awesome.
That's just incredible. I mean, what more do you want right there?
No, I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything more, but I know that this is just going to grow. It's one of those things. Now it's getting to this point. Everybody wants to be involved, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's just great for everybody to come together and for the troops, for our vets, for our first responders. They're always there for us when we need them. It's time for us to, put a helping hand in and support them. RavenDrumFoundation.org for you to get involved and get donating and bid on these incredible items. You have until Saturday, which this episode is going to be going up tomorrow, Friday. So you got a day and a half to make sure you get up there the last minute to get, hey, that Nikki Sixx stage scarf and book, that's a good Christmas gift right there. Let's be honest here.
It is. I'm kind of jealous. A lot of these items I would love to see in my own home, but it's all going to a fantastic cause, and that's the one thing I want people to know. This is awesome. It's something very special. There's one more thing I wouldn't mind to. I just need to go to. I just need to go to Raven Drum Foundation because here we go. Oh yeah, they're talking about Rick Springfield. Oh, okay. So the one thing. Oh, drummers.givesmart.com. That's where people need to go to bid. That's a good place to start. And they can find all the links in ravendrumfoundation.org also. So all the information is there.
Right. That's amazing stuff. You got a couple of dates left with Motley Crüe on the stadium tour. How's the tour been going?
It's pretty tiring. I was talking to you about the jet lag. The jet lag's pretty. I mean, it's 20 past 10 a.m. right now. I mean, fortunately, I've got a great view looking out across at the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
But it's pretty challenging, with these kind of time differences, and then you've got to try putting on a show. So it's been fantastic, and Motley Crüe are awesome. They've been incredibly supportive of all the things that I'm doing with Raven Drum, and this is just kind of the icing on the cake. Playing these shows with Motley. We've been out with them for 17 months.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, that's a good long tour. And we pretty much hit every territory under the sun. So we're very blessed to have spent all this time with them. And we've gotten really close. The two bands have gotten really close. So it's been really, really cool.
And especially with, the pandemic and everything, who would have thought that this tour would have even happened?
No, I know. It got postponed like 2 years in a row, I believe. At first it was like summer break, but then it was like, oh, how long's this going to go on for? So it was a little daunting, but I'm just glad that we were able to get out here and do it. And again, what a great band to be doing it with. Def Leppard and Motley Crüe is really an awesome show.
Yeah, well, look, I went down to the show in Syracuse back in I think it was like Labor Day weekend, and man, the stadium was packed. Everybody had an absolute blast. I mean, Alice Cooper opened the show. You guys headlined that night and just completely just blew everybody away. I mean, it seems like you guys are still having fun on stage, which is amazing.
The gift is being able to play in front of an audience. The exchange of energy that happens. It's one thing being in a rehearsal room, rehearsing these songs, but then when you play these songs in front of an audience, they take on a whole life of their own. I mean, these songs, they're the soundtrack of people's lives. A lot of firsts for people, thinking back to, back in the day when a lot of these songs were released. It's really cool to see people having a really personal moment. You see it on their faces. I can see it from the stage, and it really is a gift.
And especially, going on stage and seeing 25, 30,000 people in a stadium, it's a lot better than going to a 200 cap club.
It doesn't suck.
It's funny because, do you think that that's the bit, at the point where the band's gonna say, you know what, we're not doing stadiums, we're not doing arenas anymore, we're doing clubs? Is that when Def Leppard sort of like hangs it up, or is this gonna keep going on no matter the venue size?
We never talk about the last show. That's kind of the elephant in the room, Mm-hmm. We avoid that one. And you know what? We'll just keep doing this as long as we possibly can. And be honest, the Rolling Stones, they keep raising the bar, every single year. And I think they're going to be going out on tour again. So we've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah. And look, as long as there's butts in those seats, I mean, why wouldn't you go, right? And look, I mean, this might be a weird question, but there's been a lot of controversy with Motley Crüe and tapes and all this stuff. But do you think that controversy kind of helped sell tickets because people want to see what's going on?
You know what? There's so many rumors go around, and 99% of it is just bull. And, I mean, I see those guys go on stage pretty much every night, and they work their asses off. And, that's all I can say, really. I have no clue about, any of that. I just think, it's their personal stuff. And I think that's where it needs to stay. It's nobody else's business what they do. Yeah. But they're an awesome band. That's all I could say.
Absolutely. I've been seeing them every year till, from the time I was like 12 years old up to the time they retired. And look, a lot of people bought tickets because they wanted to see for themselves. You can't just rely on, the rock sites that like to talk trash and gossip and, whatever you see on YouTube. You got to go for yourself and have fun. And it's about the show and the experience, right? Like, who cares?
I think so. I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. A lot of people have accused Def Leppard of using soundtrack or whatever, but I hear the guys every single night in the dressing room warming up for hours sometimes. I know how much work goes into creating this show. So I don't really pay much attention to what people think or it's a bunch of hog.
I want to take you back to Pyromania really quickly, just out of curiosity. It's been kind of well documented. And in our last interview, we talked a little bit about it, how the Fairlight and the synclavier was like a big part of this recording process of that. So now the thing about the drums on those records, a lot of it was the programming. Like, you said it yourself, you kind of just sat there and played the cymbals and stuff. But I'm just curious, like, how true is that? Like,
no, some of it was programmed, and then I'd play a lot of the actually all the cymbal parts and all the percussion parts, and then do overdubs. Yeah. And when you're coming up with songs on the fly, when you're actually writing the songs during the recording process, it just made it easier. And I'm comfortable enough in my own skin. I do a really good job, playing drums. So whatever it takes to get the thing sounding great,
Well, I was just going to say, to come from, High and Dry and that bombastic, massive, live drum sound. And then Mutt says, yeah, so we're going to use the computer this time, Rick. Does that upset you? Or are you kind of like, why? Or
no, not really. I mean, if you were there at the time, you could maybe get a glimpse of why we wanted these songs to sound a certain way. We wanted to cross over. We wanted to be huge. We wanted to make this the record sound as good as they possibly could.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then at that point, are you sitting there, like, oh, this is how the drum fill should go? Like, do you have any like creative like expression in that? Like, are you allowed to say, oh, because you have to go out on stage and replicate the sound, right? So do you get to say, do you get to arrange the drum fills and stuff like that, or is it all just Mutt like programming it?
No, it was me sitting there with Mutt, and we'd come up with stuff, and then certain songs lent themselves really well to live drums, and then other songs were just they needed something different. They needed a different dimension.
Yeah. And look, they kind of, those records, they kind of just reinvented how drums sounded in a way. After Pyromania came out, everybody needed that kick and snare sound, right?
Yeah, and that's what tended to happen. Everybody wanted that. So it was kind of a trailblazer, so it did what it was meant to do.
Yeah. Did you have any say in that? Like how much reverb and gated, verb and stuff, like effects were on the drums? Like, did you say, oh, the cannonball snare, we need that? Or were you kind of like, well, maybe if we dialed it back, like, did you have any say in your drum sound on those records?
Of course. Yeah. We'd feed those sounds back through studios and re-record them. Like every conceivable trick we could come up with or experiment with. That's what we did. That's really what that was all about. Nobody had really done it before, so there was a lot went into that, a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, And it's funny because I've talked to Phil and Joe about, those records, and I was like, did you have any say in your guitar tone? Like, if you didn't want to use the Rockman, like, would Mutt have let you use a Marshall? And he's like, no, but it sounded exactly how it was supposed to sound for that record and for those records. Like, you can't picture any other drum sound or any other guitar tone on those albums. They sound exactly how they're supposed to sound.
That's true. And I've said this before, there's no such thing as a bad sound, just the right sound for the song, So, and we went into it like that, like this is something new, so let's try it.
Yeah. And that goes back to the old saying, it's you got to play for the song, right?
Yeah, for sure.
RavendrumFoundation.org. You want to go check it out. And of course, the auction happening now all the way up until Saturday. So you got to get involved with this and, get involved the giving back to the vets and our first responders and everything. Some incredible items up here as well. I'm surprised that Def Leppard, you guys didn't throw in, like, the crazy, meet and greet, fly on our jet with us, like something crazy over the top like that.
No, I was trying to find the old Union Jack shorts, but I think my wife threw them out, which I don't blame her. I wore them one time. We did a Vegas sort of residency, and I wore them one night. And after that particular show, I never saw them again. So I think she may have thrown them out.
And those are the original ones.
They're the original ones. Yeah, wearing those things, it looked like 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag. You know what I mean? So yeah, I understand why.
Maybe she was like, Rick, listen, it's 2020, whatever it was. It's time to get rid of these.
No. She's like, you know what? Sir Isaac Newton was right, and I'm not talking about apples,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something. They're just going to turn up at some point.
I hope so. I was hanging on to those shorts, but I can't find them anywhere.
Talk a little bit about gear, drum-wise and live setup for you. I mean, it's pretty much been the same rig for the last couple of years, with the electronic, with the toms and your cymbal setup. Is that sort of like your go-to setup, like even at home? Like, and how did you come up with the current setup that your kit is on stage?
I have a very limited range of motion. I broke my right arm really badly during my car accident. So really, I don't have much range of motion. So that really determines position of, cymbals, drums, pedals. I'm kind of stuck with the nuts and bolts of it. The thing that we keep updating is the sounds and software-based, a software-based program. I started out with Akai's. I started out with, a custom-built rig, and then Simmons, and then, D-Drum, and then Akai, and it went through all these different ways of storing the sounds. And now it's all computer-based, which is actually fantastic. But the nuts and bolts setup, the actual position of everything, that remains pretty much the same as when I first came up with the idea for the kit.
Right. Yeah, and it's like a lot of drummers, they tend to do, like signature snares and like, signature cymbals and stuff. Could we possibly see, like a signature Rick Allen crash cymbal from Zildjian at some point, or like a Yamaha snare? Or...
Possibly, but they come up with such fantastic cymbals. I started using some of the Constantinoples at home, and I love those. They've got a wonderful dark sound to them. So I'm kind of stuck on those for at home at the moment. And I picked up one of the Armin Zildjian ride cymbals. So I'm stuck on cymbals that they already offer. It would be an honor if they wanted to, help or let me help them come up with something. But that scenario hasn't really come about yet.
Yeah. Or you do the Def Leppard drum sample pack where everybody can get the snare sounds and the kicks and stuff like that. That would be pretty cool.
I don't want to give away all my sounds. They're mine.
Well, no, you charge a premium for that stuff.
No, I'm sure people have lifted a bunch of them, I'm sure there's enough stuff out there, and, people can come up with their own stuff. You know what I mean? This took me years to come up with. So go make your own sounds.
Talking about sounds, I'm just curious about this. I mean, after Hysteria, you do Adrenalize. Mutt's not really involved, but is, executive produces. He kind of falls to the wayside, works with Bryan Adams, all this stuff. And you guys want to explore some different sounds. You guys do SLANG. And I was a huge fan of it, but it kind of, bottoms out, with the media and some of the fan base. The general perception was that it wasn't that good. But you said you wanted to go back to the original sound with Euphoria. Like, how come you guys didn't try and bring Mutt back in to do a full record at some point?
I think we needed to go and explore things on our own. Mm-hmm. And SLANG was a classic example of that. We set up in a house in southern Spain, and there's a ton of marble. So set up an acoustic kit, did some samples, put some foot pedals down on the ground, and that was really exciting. I really enjoyed making that record, and it just got back to basics for us. It was less polished. And I think it was. I hear from fans all the time that they love that record. It's a creeper. It's a creeper. It's a great record. And every time I listen to that record, it's really satisfying.
Yeah, and there's great songs in there. I mean, like it's the production, like you said, it's a lot more raw, but it's also around that time in the mid '90s when production wasn't big. It was that Butch Vig, Steve Albini kind of raw engineered sound, and it was kind of like with the times, I guess.
It was a lot cheaper to make records, that's for sure.
But the funny thing is that, at the time it came out, just reading online, like some of the old reviews, Mitch LaFon, who used to be co-host on the show, he told me when that record came out, he loved it, but it was getting panned by, like all the big rock sites, like Brave Words and like even in some of the fans. But the funny thing about it is that you look at Kiss and they talk about The Elder. And at the time the record comes out, it was the best record we've ever done. We've always wanted to, but then 20 years later, they pretend it never happened. Whereas with Def Leppard and SLANG, you guys almost doubled down on it, and you put out 2 CDs like a couple of years ago with all the bonus stuff that didn't come out. So it's cool that you guys say, "Oh yeah, you don't like this? Well, here's even more." And I love that.
Yeah. Hope they'll like the new version. That's brilliant. But you know what? We can't pay too much attention. At the end of the day, we have to do things that we're fans of. We have to come up with songs and ideas that we're fans of.
Yeah.
And hope that other people like them. We do what we do.
Yeah.
And it's been working so far.
Well, that's it. I was just saying, it's like, most bands, they'll put out that one record that, 20 years later, they try and pretend it never existed. But, you guys never talk down on it. You've never talked negatively of it. You proudly wave the flag as it's part of the history. And you got to love that because it's one of your music children at the end of the day.
No, it's true. It's true. So do your listeners, do they just listen or do they get to see you?
Oh, they watch as well.
Oh, they do. I was going to try and get a view of the opera house for you guys, if you can see it. This is a current view.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, unfortunately, the cruise ship came in this morning, which was a bit of that was a little disappointing. It covered up half of the opera house. But it was great while it lasted. I had a fantastic view from when I got in yesterday all the way up till this morning when the cruise ship arrived. So
yeah, are you a fan of opera?
I mean, I can listen to certain things. I like I said, as a musician, you tend to listen to as many different things as you can.
Yeah.
And it's surprising where, you can be inspired.
That would be a cool venue for Def Leppard to do like a one-off show at, do like an album in its entirety or something, Pyromania 40th anniversary at the Sydney Opera House. Like, that's kind of cool.
well, we just did the orchestral album, Drastic Symphonies, and that was fantastic working with the London Philharmonic. Mm-hmm. Being in the same room as a full orchestra, man, that's an incredible experience. Something about strings and how it just pulls out all those emotions. That was really special to be able to do that and listen to these songs in that form.
And it's also amazing how well the music translated into a classical arrangement, because I really feel like you listen to songs on Hysteria. I mean, those guitars that Steve and Phil were doing truly were orchestrated guitar parts. Like, you can chart those, and that is a symphony of guitars right there on that record.
It really is, and I think that was the idea, was to highlight that and really bring that out with the strings, the complexity of of the music. So we were really proud of it.
Do you see yourselves maybe like doing more songs off Euphoria and Slang, like in the future? Instead of Promises, and you do like Goodbye or Where Does Love Go When It Dies, like B, C, D side cuts like that.
Well, we've got 40-year anniversary of Pyromania, so the next tour is probably going to be quite different, and we've already been discussing that. But there's only so much music you can get into 90 minutes. You know what I mean?
Well, it sounds like another residency to me. Going back to Vegas or what?
That's always open. That's always open to us, and that's always fun for us to do. To experience the super fans, and it's great because we can push out a little bit and play songs that we wouldn't normally play. So that's always something that's you can pretty much bank on. We're going to do another residency at some point.
What are some of the songs that you don't play anymore that you'd like to see back in the set?
Oh man, oh god, Die Hard the Hunter. I'd love to play again. But we played that on the last residency, and that was fun. It's nice digging into some of those old songs for me because a lot of those songs, it was when I had 2 arms, so it's challenging to come up with versions that are convincing using 1 arm, but it keeps things fresh, it keeps things fun for me.
And talking about the 40th anniversary of Pyromania, do you see like a brand new box set coming out to celebrate the anniversary? Like demos, unreleased stuff. Like, do you guys still have stuff in the vault that we haven't heard yet?
There is, and we keep uncovering new stuff all the time. For instance, our first record, we thought that the tapes had been destroyed, but it turns out that they exist. So we were able to pull, some versions and some songs that have never been heard from those tapes, which is fantastic. So yes, there's always room for another box set.
Yeah, and there's like endless possibilities. I mean, in the last recent years, there's been a lot of like isolated tracks that have leaked on YouTube and stuff, and like just like the isolated backing vocal track, like it had like 30-some thousand views on it. I'm like, that would be a cool bonus track to put on a box set. Just have like a 5-minute montage of some of the highlights of big backing vocals from the record. That's very niche and like fanly, but I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't appeal to everybody. But if it's part of a collection, then I see the appeal.
Yeah, that would be like the 5th LP in the box set, just the backing vocal tracks.
That's funny. So I need to take off. I've got other commitments, and I don't want to make anybody unhappy.
Yeah, no worries. You've been very generous with your time. Look, make sure you go to ravendrumfoundation.org. Go and donate to this incredible auction and give back to our troops and our vets and our first responders and just all that good stuff. It's always great to chat with you, Rick. We'll see you again soon.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's nice to talk to you, and let's talk again when I get back to the States.
Yeah, absolutely. So tour next year. We got more tour dates from Def Leppard.
We're talking about it, but there's nothing really carved in stone yet.
Okay, nice. Well, good to know. Well, it's going to be very strange if there's a summer without Def Leppard on the road. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
It's very nice of you to say.
An all-new episode of The Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.